according to Robin and Kris, they both left on the same day. So how
Yeah.
did you come across AD, Kris? How did you get involved
Um,
with him?
Started out as a subscriber,
Mhm.
well, because of the Watts case.
Yes.
Um, and basically, I was just on YouTube typing in a search to see what I could find out. So he came up, and then I started watching him. And then, when you're a subscriber like that, you believe what's going
Mhm.
on. And I mean, the case is very complex, so it's easily manipulated to, put out all these things that people believe. One day I had seen a picture and I took a screenshot of it and I sent it to Michael, who at that time was an admin. And I said, "Hey, look at this. I find it interesting." He was talking and then he was like, "Hey, how would you like to be a moderator? We need someone, some Americans that can do the American time. And we need somebody to delete comments during that time because we're sleeping or we're doing other things." And
Yeah.
my first initial response was, "Well, I don't want to be attacked." Because during that time, it's still going on. It's the same today as it was back then.
Mhm.
This is really the mind-boggling part of it. And because he's constantly saying that mods are being attacked and mods are this, and somebody's always saying something. I said I have a family,
Yes.
so
Yeah.
I don't. I would be too afraid to do that. I have to protect my people. And he said, "Well, it's really not like that. It's not as bad as you think." Um, and I told him I'd think about it, and then I thought about it for a little bit, and then I decided to do
Did
it.
you get attacked while you were being a mod?
No, not. Um, well, the longer that I was there, but initially, no.
Mhm.
I mean, people. I mean, just other than some of the channels at that time that were maybe making assumptions or just what they thought, or just outright saying things that weren't necessarily true, about some of the mods. Other than that, no, just like being put in videos and seeing the chats and seeing what people were saying and things of that
Yeah.
nature.
But
But as
nobody.
far as messages and people like trying to call my job or anything like that, as far as I'm aware of, no.
No.
Mm-mm. The messages and stuff didn't come till later on.
Mhm. Was that after you left?
No, that was before. That was
Right.
when I want to say the lady's name might have been Dorothy, maybe. Don't take that as 100% because I can't remember all of the names exactly, but there was a couple that were constantly just sending messages, about
Right. And were they
um,
were they abusive or what?
just silly, just really
Right.
silly about him being in his underwear or something, just very silly, and it.
Got you. So you were there as a mod, and what started to make you think this might not be a good idea to be on here? What happened there, if you don't mind?
The end of
Hmm.
October, and it seems like something happened with letters that
Yes.
were not being produced, and we were constantly stressed out and upset, and we couldn't understand what was going on. Why are you saying this and yet you're not delivering? But then I think a little bit before that we kind of noticed a pattern, like, okay, wait a minute, he's done this twice. It's the end of the month and now something's coming out or he has to move to Patreon.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We were like, whoa, there's something majorly wrong here. Um, and I'm sure there's several other things, and I'm sure I can think of it shortly. But
Those
I feel
people.
bad because I can't remember a lot of it, and I know people will say, "Oh, that's bullshit. You're just," but it's not. It's when I went through the mental health part of all of that, and I mean, it takes a big toll on your life because you really
Yeah,
care and you're so wrapped up in it, and then you realize what was done to you and you're shocked, and it almost scares you to think,
Oh,
oh my god, I can't believe that happened to me. I never thought that anything like that could ever happen to
yeah,
me,
and
where I'm
and I
so
was
blinded.
honest and open, and for almost 8 months, 9 months, I went through counseling. For you went through counseling for, gosh, a long time too.
3
And
weeks I was Well, 3 weeks daily. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, daily.
And I shake. I used to shake really bad. I mean, there was other things too, but when you're in that type of environment and you realize, oh my God, because like you at the time, you don't even know that you're doing something wrong because you truly believe it. It's insanity. It's still insane to me. Like,
It's like
it makes you feel
brainwashed.
stupid. It makes you feel stupid. Because
It's
all
foolish,
these
and then
people
you
were.
feel guilt.
Oh, yeah. And I said, that is karma right there. Even though you don't realize that you're a part of something that's wrong, karma's still going to come for you, because I will tell you,
It did 10
and
times full.
it came, honey, because it affected my family. And I said, and I hope this is okay to mention their names, but the Rzucek family, they did lose their family. Well,
Yeah.
I almost lost my family.
Oh my goodness.
She
I
did.
almost lost my family, my husband and kids, over all of this, because you get so wrapped up in it. And
Yes.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
the force, Mrs. Rzucek said this before, there is a force behind all of this. I mean, why else would it blow up so big the way that it did? And,
Yeah.
people being involved. Look at all the lives it takes a hold of.
Look at what happened
It's
to
just
Kris.
pure evil. It's pure evil.
That same force that was whatever happened with this case and happened to their family is the same force that is going out throughout anybody that gets involved in it, digests it every day, talks about it every day.
Yeah,
Oh,
it is.
absolutely.
It's very strong.
Yep. All right.
And
So
we
I remember one thing. I'm sorry to interrupt, but I remember that by the end we ended up staying to protect the subs. Some of our longest supporters, didn't we pay for some of the longer supporters to be able to get Patreon and stuff?
Yes, we
Some of us?
did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't.
Well,
'Cause
hell,
I
we had
not-
to pay ourselves. You didn't pay the Patreon. You wasn't even getting in the mod. We couldn't even
Yeah,
get a daggone T-shirt.
Yeah,
I mean,
we had to pay. And then when he went to Crowdcast, they couldn't even send me the link to get in for free anymore. So I had to pay to mod. But yeah, like we tried. Like I'm telling you, it was a weekly thing. Like almost weekly, we got to go. And then he got sick, and then it was the throat cancer. And then he told us the lie. Like he made it so believable when we remember that phone call we all had with him and asked him about the sauce thing. And he gave us this bull crap that he owned a hotel or whatever, and he had to be licensed in every area. And so that's why the escort was on there, because if the hotel used, do you remember that? We were all talking. I can remember that day because I was out in the flower bin when we were talking to him, and you were so upset you were going to leave that day. You were going to leave because you said this is just disgusting. And then he convinced. Then he convinced us that it was nothing, and of course we believed him, because why would he lie to us? Because he made me and Kris feel like we were just so loved, like so loved. Remember, all of us mods, we got on a phone call and said, and it was you had brought it up and said, have you seen the sauce thing? I had only seen the pictures of him with the girls.
Oh yes.
And remember, so we called him.
February. Wasn't that in February when we saw that? And I was like, "What is this?" And then he denied it all and said somebody made it up or something.
Yeah, he said that he can show proof if we have to, but he owned a hotel, and in order to be licensed in every area, he had to be licensed, like for disc jockeys. He had any performance that would go in that hotel, he'd have to be licensed. Well, we're stupid because we don't live in the UK. We don't know what the laws are, and at the end, he just wouldn't support us. He would not support us. He'd always say he was too busy. I don't have time to listen to you. I got other things to do. I just don't have time. You guys have to work it all out on your own. And that was enough. We left. We just decided. And believe me, it was so hard because we were crying. And the biggest thing was the subs. Like, what are, what
It was
are,
the subs. I mean, the end
yeah,
of it, Robin. It was the subs, but we were all fed up, and
yeah.
I mean,
Like,
we were fed up. We just felt like we needed to protect them. But I think me, it was just shocking. Just how did I let this happen? How was
that's
I
what,
so blinded? How could I believe? I mean, it is literally the best way I can describe it.
but
It's like you
yeah.
have a veil over your eyes, but once it's lifted, you see, and you're just. I was shocked. I was sick. I just
And
couldn't
so,
believe it.
yeah, my psychiatrist played back videos of him and pointed out how it all happened. Because I asked the same thing, how could I be so foolish at my age? And then she'd point back things, and she had said, it. This just isn't with YouTube. He's professional. He's been doing this a long time. And let me tell you, there's another story. We were going to quit over this too. We had a sub that was so stinking loyal, and she paid for Patreon. She couldn't get into Patreon. He promised he unblocked her, so I told her, he's unblocked you. Nope. She had paid 6 months and couldn't get into Patreon. Finally, he unblocks her, and she goes to sign up again. I mean, no, he could never unblock her, so he told her to make another account. So she went and canceled, did everything to cancel the old Patreon. And she was like me, not tech savvy. She didn't know
Yeah.
how to do it, so she had to go to the bank. Went through a whole lot of process, and then she called me crying and said, "There's only I was at $1 slot, and now it's 10." So we tell him, "AD, you got to put her back on the dollar." He says, "Nope, you tell her if $1 slot opens back up, she can have it." And I says, "But she's been paying you all these months. She's a loyal sub." And he wouldn't. He wouldn't. He made her pay the $10.
Yeah.
He makes a lot of these subs feel like he really appreciates them, and they're really something to him, and they're not. None of them are. He
They
can
were
give
to
a crap
us.
less if any one of them left right now.
Yeah, they were to us. They were to
Yeah,
us.
they weren't us. That's why we stayed as long as we did in the end.
And then after you leave, like for me, let's see, it took, okay, so I left on the 2nd. On the 3rd, started to feel guilt. On the 4th, that's when it hit me. I was laying in bed thinking, and it just popped in my head. What would I feel like if somebody took my son and dissected how he passed away
Yep.
in every single day?
Yep.
And that's when I felt so much guilt with the Rzuceks. And I couldn't get a hold of them. And I couldn't apologize. And I didn't know how to get a hold of them. And luckily, Frankie was on Maureen's channel, and he forgave me. He did. He forgave me. And if he wanted to forgive me, I probably, and I'm telling you, the guilt and the filth that you feel afterwards,
Mhm.
you want to die. And we were gone, but I had seen on a truth channel that porn search.
Mhm.
And that's when I got admitted, because I took shower after shower. I felt so filthy to think that he had looked something up like that. And when I'm not joking you, like I would shower and still feel dirty, and I'd take a bath and feel dirty. And then my son called, and and I says, "I can't do it anymore." And he goes, "What is going on?" And I just lost it. And then they took me to the hospital and put me in for the 36 hours observation, and then started my treatment. That's how bad it affects you. Yes, go
Because
ahead.
people will discuss the case, but what people don't realize is that he not only is he in quote discussing the case,
Mm-hmm.
he's doing it every day, and he's doing it with a purpose,
Yeah.
and that purpose is not to, i.e., solve it. I mean, that's
Mm-hmm.
what people aren't seeing. What he does is he's the type of person that uses anything to their advantage. So the fact that there's how many ever channels that are trying to say, he's doing it for the money. He knows that some of these things aren't true. He uses that. He likes that. He doesn't care, because
No,
then he gets on the next day and he's going to tell his sob story. It's the same thing. It's the
I
same
know.
thing going on since we were there. He tells his sob story. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
look at what they're doing, and all I want to do is just talk about the case. I'm allowed to have an opinion. There's a right to free speech. So then that turns into,
Hold on. Let me stop you there, Kris. We don't have free speech here. We've got freedom of expression,
well,
but we don't
but
have free speech. We don't.
I I understand, but in America, and that's really who his audience is really geared towards.
But
So
he's
he's
got to,
also manipulating and taking advantage of Americans,
and
because
he's
I know
got to
this sounds
apply the
cliche,
rules here.
but he's using our First Amendment to get people
He can't
fired
say.
up, because we are very passionate about that, and
I
that, I
know,
mean, that
I
is
know,
true.
but he's not allowed to do that by the laws of Britain.
Well,
He's not allowed to do that.
I'm just making the point that that's how he keeps those people there. He gets
Mm-hmm.
them fired up by saying, "Oh,
Because,
look, they're trying to squash your freedom of speech, and
and
they're
that's
trying to
something
squash
that's
your
big
freedom
to
to
us.
watch who you want and give money to who you want." And so he's very good at what he does. And the back and forth, he just loves it, because it gives him something else to play his violin about. And then he
Yeah.
turns that into, well, look at how many people are speaking out against me. There must be something they're hiding. There must be something more behind it, because look at all these people. So it's
Right.
just
Now,
a constant manipulation. He's just using all of it.
I believe Dr. B was really worked at the prison for the longest time. I did. I believe the two jeans. I believe the ponytail.
Robin,
Uh,
can I butt in a second? You
yeah,
need to hear this. Lydia has said, "Me too. I just couldn't believe that he pretended Cindy Watts was in his chat. That was the end for me. Delighted with subs that give him so much money, and
he
he lied
never
about the
talked to
stupidest
Cindy.
things." There
I
you
just
are.
wanted to come on and show my face and show that I really am who I say that I am. And I just wanted to personally tell everyone thank you for the support. And it really does mean a lot, because this is difficult, and it brings back a lot of
It does a
nerves.
lot of trauma when you talk about it. Like
But
the
thank
other
you.
night when we were talking about it, like, my whole tummy was queased up. I'm so
Thank
proud
you.
of you. It
Thank you
just,
very much. I appreciate
and you're
it.
going to feel so much better. It just feels so good to get it out there and get the truth out there. And I'm proud of you. I love you, darling. I'll talk to you later.
I love you. Appreciate
All
you.
right. See you.
In October, then, you'd had enough because of all of the things that you've seen. Were you around whenever the porn searches became public? Were you around then?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, was that in October? Because I do remember that. I
Yes,
remember
that was
the
in October. Yeah, that was.
Okay, so that was the ending. That was when we all was like, nope, we're out. We're out of here. This is not right. And
Mhm.
it's pretty bad. Pretty bad that somebody like that can have so many so fooled. And I mean, another thing he plays on is, or another people will say, well, we don't care about his personal life. We don't care about this, but you should.
So yeah,
You should care about the character and the morality of the person that's delivering the information, because that tells you a lot of what you need to know.
absolutely.
Oh, we left before the searches. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. We did leave before the search. Somebody just told me. They was like, nope, we left before the searches.
All right.
2 weeks
Okay.
before that. 2 weeks before that. I
No
apologize.
problem. That's okay. That's okay. So you were already starting to get cold feet, and he started to bring up all of this nonsense about letters. I know what happened. He'd asked Emma to pretend that she had more letters. And there was also the girl that was supplying them, and she didn't want to lose her friendship with Kris or the Watts family, I think. And she said, "No, you can have one letter." And he started to tell the subs that he had hundreds. Does that ring a bell? Is that bringing
No,
back
the way that I mean, we saw pictures of them.
right?
So there was letters, but there wasn't hundreds and pages, and I'm not sure what happened, but I know that there was a facet of protecting people that ask you for confidence, and the person, has integrity and they kept their word. So it came out looking really shady, but that was because some people just don't tell all when they're asked to keep confidence and to keep things private. So it ends up making that person look really bad.
Got you. So, well, I know that he did ask for forgeries because Robin was telling us that, I think it was last week. He was pretending that there was more letters, and he was pretending that he was talking to the Watts family, and he never was. It was always third
It
party.
was through somebody, right? Correct.
Yeah.
But we didn't know that, and a lot of people don't realize that there for a long time nobody had contact with him at all until we started coming at him over things that were going on.
Right. And what kind of reception did you get whenever you challenged him?
Not happy. He was not happy, and
Right.
just that the trolls were getting in our heads, and it would really upset me because I'd say, well, I guess I'm a troll then, because what's going on is not right. You don't take a troll or whatever you want to call that to clearly see that there's a problem here.
Yes. And your problem was mainly the way he was treating people and the lies that he was telling. Am I getting that right? You were starting to look at how he was asking for money from people and wouldn't let them still subscribe for £1, and these fake letters. So you started to think, oh, wait a minute, there's something not right about this. Am I right?
That's correct. Exactly.
Brilliant. What was it? Did he ever ask you to attack anyone or to lie specifically for him, Kris? Did he ever ask you?
No.
No. Okay, that's good. He did ask Robin to attack me. And he asked.
Okay, now see, I wasn't aware of that, and
Yeah.
I don't. Robin would tell you the truth too. So, but no, that was never asked of us or me personally.
Right.
I should speak for myself because I know that there's always private messages that go around and back and forth.
So, you'd been a mod for him for a long time, and you started to get uncomfortable with the fact that he was asking for more and more money from people each month. He wouldn't let people continue to be members for £1. He wanted the £10 deal. So we're going right up to probably the day that you left. So
the day that we left, we were told that there was charges that were about to be brought against him for things involving minors. So when we heard that, we hated to leave the subs because we were like, who's going to protect them? Who's going to help them with getting them in to watch the show if they want? How are we going to stop things from happening before it does? And it's just not right or accurate or shady and deceitful. But I know that was one of the things. There was a big snowball during that time, but that day was the day that we left, me and Robin and Peggy.
Okay.
And then the others left shortly after because
right.
we all pretty much, I think we all did leave at the same time, but because there were some disconnections and stuff there, we just weren't in contact.
Right. Now, did you get a hard time after you'd left? Did he contact you or someone else contact you after you'd gone, trying to get you to go back?
Not that I recall, but when I left, I told him that I would not talk about him or say anything about him as long as he left my name out of his mouth and did not lie about what happened. Well,
Yes.
that couldn't, I just wanted to be left alone at that point. I was just, even now, like you're saying, like I do, it still does affect me because like right now I'm a little bit shaky.
Yes,
Um,
I know. I can tell that
and
you're nervous. And we're just going to go through this slowly. Don't worry, I'm not going to push you.
okay.
Go at your pace, whatever you're comfortable with. Yeah? Just don't worry. No one's going to bother you. Nobody's going to come in here and give you shit. And when you've got the backing of this channel, I can tell you they're like hellhounds. If they see anybody giving you shit anywhere, they're going to be at you. But I'll be honest, it's very unlikely that you're going to get anything. You know,
Well, I think that I can handle that because, like you, I've got some pretty big balls, and I'm not going to
the
take shit from anybody. It's just remembering how bad it was and what we realized, and realize what we were a part of and involved in. That
yeah.
is the nervousness part of it, kind of like involuntarily shaking. So,
So okay.
Okay, dear.
So you both left, and you
We all
ended up.
left. Yeah, we all left October 2nd.
Hmm.
I know that for a fact because on October 1st, that's my birthday. It was the worst birthday I've ever had because of all the fighting that was
Yes.
going on in there. He just wouldn't listen to us. He would promise us he wouldn't talk about the case anymore. And then he'd start talking about the case again. And then he'd promise us again he wouldn't. And Emma would come up with all this other stuff, and here we're thinking we're going to talk about something else, and he would be back to the waltz again. Like
Mhm.
it was just too much. But you know, people do. I know you're going to think this sounds stupid, but um, you do get flashbacks,
Yeah.
and you get it. It affects you for a long time. It
Hmm.
really does. Like I say, the guilt, the filth, and like Kris said, feeling like a fool,
Hmm.
um, being taken advantage of, um,
Being lied to, paying the money, fighting with
lied
people.
to, believing stuff. Just most of all, believing, just downright believing that
Robin,
you
can I
know.
butt in? Because the last interview that you did has it's got a hell of a lot of views. You know, other people have taken that. Would you like to tell them, because we just touched on it, but would you like to tell them what you were going to do? We just touched on it, but what you were going to do regarding your house and the money for him. Do you want to tell the guys that what was actually going through your mind and what he was going to let you do?
Well, okay, he never asked me, mind you, but
Hmm.
he had done a show, and I was fairly new. Okay, I was working, I was making good money, and he did a show saying that a few shows saying that he had to have a water bottle because he was so cold, and that he didn't have food in the house. He didn't know how he was going to feed Winston, and me, I'm a good hearted person. And so I thought, well, I can take a little bit of a second mortgage out on the home and I can help him. But I never ended up doing it. That
Good
I
girl.
didn't do it.
But he was
I
going to
had
let you. That's the
I'm
main point. He was going to let
yeah,
you do it.
yeah. I mean, for heaven's sakes, I had to pay to mod. We all did. So, he would have taken it, and just like he has from a lot of other people, and not thought twice about it. But
Right?
luckily, I had my kids, and my kids are like, "Mom,
Yeah, and you had
you don't know nothing
me
about you."
screaming online saying, "Don't you do that! Don't do
Yeah,
that! You're
you
going to lose
too.
your house."
Yeah, you did too. You says we have our differences, and but don't you do it. And
Yep.
then I talked to my kids and said somebody needs help, and my kids are like, You're so naive, Mom. YouTube, you don't know these people
Yeah,
from anything. And I'm thinking, no, I told him he's such a nice guy. He's such a nice guy. And he just lives, here I'm living at the time up at my house. I'm living in a 6,500 square foot house. I have a lot of property. I'm living in a big home, have daddy
yeah,
up there. And I see him living in this like a little one bedroom thing. And I'm thinking, that's just sad. That
yeah.
that that is really sad. And
Right. Now,
but
Robin, there's
I
something
didn't
I want
do
to
it.
bring up. Uh, Um, Kris has touched on it. I want to bring this up because it's very important. She said that when you guys were starting to get very bothered about what was going on, he said something about being taken up legally for something against minors. Do you know anything about this? Because this is mega important. Do you know
I,
anything about
yeah,
this?
I think. Gosh, my mind is so blurry. Um, See, at the end, I wasn't there all the time because I just he kept asking, well, maybe country cowgirl can come up and talk. Like he'd always want me to talk, but I was so angered at him that
Mhm.
towards the end, you wouldn't see me there, and I just know that I think it was from the Truth channels had mentioned that I don't even know that, but I know that something to do with the miners, and we didn't want nothing to do. We didn't want anything to have a part to do with any of that. We started to catch on, like we believed his stuff about the hotel thing and the sauce, and so then we started to catch on to like, oh my gosh, maybe this is true.
Yeah,
Maybe it is true, and we don't want anything to do with it. We don't be, because that's just not who we are, especially Kris and I, because Kris and I are, and I mean, just because you're Christian doesn't mean you're good,
no,
but
no,
just us two out of the team, we were the church. We go to church,
yeah.
and we try to do right by people. We try.
Okay, sorry about that. And yes, I go to church because God knows that I need help. So,
Yep.
Kris, can you tell
You,
me a
you,
little bit more about this? Him saying that there was something coming up about about him and minors. Can you remember anything?
him
Because
saying that about him and minor.
what he said to you guys that he was being taken up for something about minors. Do you remember exactly what he said? Because that is mega important, and I'll tell you why in a minute.
It seems like I do remember something like that, but he was saying it was all lies. That's what other people were saying.
Right. There's two scenarios. Nobody here in Britain, and you can contact our police about this. Nobody would say anything like that. I'm being taken to court for acts against minors or talk against minors. Nobody would say that unless there's smoke behind that fire. And the second thing is makes me concerned that maybe this story involving him and the two very young teenage girls may be true. Because there was talk of that going to the police, and there was also talk of that being a possible court case. So if he's saying that to you, you're basically holding your hands up here and saying, I've done some dodgy shit. That is mega. So he actually admitted that to you. Can you remember when he said that? Was it September,
I
August?
remember something like it,
I
like,
only remember him saying it on live that it wasn't true. What that was
yeah, that he
being
didn't
said.
have the two girls or something like that, and they can go
Or
ahead and
what
try to
thing?
take me to court. I just don't remember like that part. I do know that, like, we tried to protect him. Like, we were so afraid that somebody was gonna swat him. That, do you remember us telling him, AD, make sure Winston's in the bathroom because we don't want Winston to get killed. Like if he gets swatted. Like
Okay,
we
sorry.
we we cared about the dogs so much, and
Oh my God, I
man,
do remember that.
Yeah, I remember we were concerned about that. And see, we cared more about his channel and wanted it to be successful and to go on to other things. But like evil, that evil creeps back in,
And
and
he would tell us that he was going to, and then in like another day or two, he'd be back to the what's
yeah,
called.
remember
Which, what
Emma would
happened to us doing other
yeah,
stuff?
Emma would find something, a story. I even found a story here in Utah. Yeah, I think you found it. Everybody had these stories, and then Emma would get ready to do it, and then he'd go back to the waltz.
Yeah, because
Well,
that's the main
especially at the end of the month or whenever that Patreon money was supposed to hit. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, there'd be something new just to suck the people in. We'll make sure you join Patreon, and it'd be like 1 or 2 days before Patreon is due. Well, people like even me, well, I was a newbie, so I thought, okay, if I join Patreon on the 15th, then every 15th, that's when I have to pay again. I had no idea, and a lot of people didn't know that you got.
Oh my
So
God, that's right. Because and
remember,
it
and
in a row or something.
so remember
And
what
we
we
were furious.
and
Oh
so
my God.
remember what we did in great big letters, like for 2 weeks before we left. We would put, remember, if you join Patreon today, you will be billed again on the first of the month.
You're right.
Yeah, and he didn't like that at all. He didn't like it at all. But we did because we once again protecting the subs.
And
Yep.
we were still naively thinking that, oh, well, he just didn't know, or it was just an accident, or it wasn't strategically planned. Like, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, how can you? That's what I asked myself. How can you be that dumb? Like, how?
But we wasn't dumb.
It
It's
to catch
that
on because you see
we
in
were
other people
groomed.
what you see in yourself.
Yeah,
And when you won't do that to people yourself, it's hard to see it in another person that they would do it to other people.
But we were groomed, and he knows how to start from the beginning and get you to start feeling bad for him, and you just start believing. Even when Mo had told us that the Photoshop, the pictures were photoshopped. You know, I didn't even really know what Photoshop meant, and I wouldn't even believe her. No way, no way, no way. There's two jeans there. Those one sleeve is up, one sleeve is down. The jeans are different. I see the ponytail. I mean, you really believe it.
Robin, how much did you have to pay to mod for him? How much was he asking for
at
you
the
to
end,
mod for him?
At the end, it was $10
a month.
Yeah.
Whatever it was to get into the Patreon to mod is what we had to pay.
Yeah.
And you had to pay to be a mod as well, Kris?
Well, if we were going to go in with the subs and mod the Patreon, that's the only way we could in.
Now, hold on. Would that modding cover if he was using Crowdcast or if he was using StreamYards?
He only gave it to 1 or 2 people, I think.
There you go, guys. There's confirmation.
Yep.
There's
and
verbal
he wouldn't give it to me because remember, Emma Emma and Peggy used to sneak me the link. But we used to take that link, remember, and sneak it to the subs who couldn't afford it.
Oh yeah.
You remember?
Yes.
Remember?
Yes,
because there was subs that said, I just can't give up my medicine. And it's like, so what we did, and see, we did a good thing. And so then we came honest and told AD, we've been given the subs a link. And so he came up with this great idea. And he's pretty smart. Here we're doing a good thing, okay? We're helping those who are in need. He come up with this great idea, adopt a sub. So he was getting so he was getting double paid. And here we told him that's not doing something nice for the subs. We want to do something nice. We want to, and we did do stuff nice. Like we would pitch in and we would send a necklace or just a little gadget to people just to let them know that we appreciated them.
Who paid for those things? Who paid for them?
Us moderators did. We'd all pitch in.
You had to pay to mod You've also had to pay for some people being part of the channel. Is that correct?
Yeah, because I couldn't do it.
Adopt a sub. So if they, right, guys, basically the way it is, if someone couldn't afford to be part of his lies and his terrorizing of the Rzuceks and his lying and exploitation of Bella and Cece Watts and his exploitation of Shanam Watts's dead body, he would make
Adopt them. He said
yeah.
he told the subs, for those who can't help, adopt. See, that way he was getting twice the money in rather than
I
really
know.
help some. And here we were doing it good. There wasn't. We each had, I think, 2 people. Didn't we, Kris? Like
So
I
that's
had
$30 a month. Then you're paying
I
$30
had
a month.
yeah, I had 2
Oh,
people
good deal.
that we would give them just a link. But then
I'm
he
remembering
switched.
this. I don't want to interrupt you, but do you remember how that worked out when people adopted? What happened the next day after they paid? Oh, we can't do that. We just found out that that's against rules. So these
Yep,
people paid for other people. We never did get the link to send it to them because it was against the rules.
yep. So he got their money and then they didn't get the link. And what he did is he kept the link secret. He changed it so none of us knew what it was. So I couldn't be sent the link after I had lost my job. We could no longer send the link out that we were helping people with. Yeah, so yep, he got all the, and got, gosh, he got a lot of people that felt bad and says, I'll take on a sub, I'll do the sub. And then he quit it right after and said, oh, I could get in trouble for doing that. And so they never got the link. And after the subs paid for somebody.
This is absolutely disgusting. And to hear this, it's nauseating. So, Kris, I know that this is hard for you, hon. And Robin, thank you for being here because I know that this is a great support to her.
I
Kris, would
love her.
you like
She's like my sister. Sheshe's like the, even though
I
I'm
really
older,
appreciate it too.
she's like the sister I never had.
do you
So
want to tell us what happened after you left? Do you want to tell us about how ill and depressed that you got? Because you did hint
Can I
towards
just
that at the
say
start.
one thing really
Sure,
quickly?
go ahead.
I will dare him to deny any of this because I guarantee you we've got the messages. Everything that we're saying right now, we told him about, we discussed, and it's there. So
Brilliant.
I wouldn't go
Mr. and
there
Mrs.
if I was
Rzucek, I
him
hope you're
because
recording
he
this.
knows we've got it.
yep.
Brilliant. Because this will all help them for court.
It has nothing to do with revenge for us. It has to do with healing. It's part of our healing process. And to help others, we need to we want to help others that they don't get so sucked in.
Yes.
And you want to help them so bad. And that's why I tried so hard to get through to Bubbles. It's just, you just want to shake him and say, please lift that veil off your face, please. Just
but
for a moment.
she said something about a 13-year-old can give consent. Now, who in the hell?
Yeah, that's just sick. That's sick.
You know what he
So
done
I
last night?
got questions about her because I know that none of us believe that or would have said that or ever thought that. So
No, and we would have told AD, get no way is he coming on the show. No way is that. No way you gonna have a pervert like that on the show. We would have not allowed it.
Would you like to give us that and then tell us what happened afterwards? Because it's important that people know that there's no backup for you guys. We've had Robin, who was in a psychiatric ward and is still attending a psychiatrist. And she's had zero help. They
With
wouldn't
no
even help her pay her
insurance. My
bills.
kids have had to pay for it with
I
no
know,
insurance.
I know, I know. You know, I wanted to try and help, and you said to me, "No, Bam, please don't. It's bad enough as it is." If you remember at the beginning when you hit rock bottom, and I reached out to you and said, "Get your ass in here. We'll look after you." This is what he does. You people watching, he uses you up until you're no longer valuable to him financially. Don't think your personality and your looks and your intelligence matter. It's money. That's all he wants. And the
It's
minute that he
money.
gets it, you're kicked out and you're left like this. Do you want to be a statistic?
is somebody saying in chat that we knew Bubbles because I did not know her?
Oh,
Yeah,
The
well,
only
lovely
thing is
lady.
she might have been a subscriber. Oh, did you, Robin? Well, I did
no,
not.
I know, honey. I didn't know her either. I didn't even know who. I know who Jill the cat was just because
Oh,
she used to be a sub, but I don't know what happened. I don't know if she's still there.
wow. You know, we had that sex offender on his panel last night again, that David. And David is pretending that Kris Watts is corresponding with him or told him that Nicole murdered the children
It's
and
such
Kris
How did he
murdered
get
bull.
that
Shanann.
recording so fast? I mean, was that planned? I mean, it seems like it was
Of
planned. How
course
did he
it
get
was.
it
It's
so
coming up to
fast?
the end of the month. This is what he wants to try and get as much money in because all the poker tournaments are coming up. He's already paid because you pay that in a one-off lump. Then you need your money to play on the tables. So he
Yeah,
wants money
remember
from
how
people.
he did the scam just before he went to Madrid, remember? And he got all the money to go to Madrid for that poker tournament
What
when we
scam
were
was
with
that?
him still.
What scam was that? If you
Sorry.
want Braun to come up, I'll bring him up. I
Yeah,
don't want you to feel any more nervous than what you
because
do.
I told him he had questions for me because he had made that video,
Mm-hmm.
something that would to do with that psychologist. I mean, she was just off the rails. This girl,
Yeah.
I can't remember her name,
Chrissy.
but
Chrissy
he
Lips.
made the video. He put my profile picture in it, which included my husband, and I just went in the chat. I was like, "Hey, man, that's not cool. He don't have anything to do with this, and just take that out." I mean,
Mm-hmm.
and he can tell you. And then he had questions for me. Did we get paid? I mean, come on. You really think that man is going to pay anybody?
No.
Heck no. We begged him to pay Emma because he had her running like everywhere. The poor girl didn't have a minute to herself,
Yeah.
and he wouldn't pay her. No, he's not going to pay nobody.
So, you've left. You've said to him, well, let's go to that day that you've left, Kris. Do you want to tell us what happened after you left? Do you want to get to that point
This
where?
might help, okay? So
Mm-hmm.
when we left, you got to figure we have regular lives, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So here, when I left, dealing with the crap on YouTube with him, it got too much. Basically, Kris had the same thing. She had the stress of YouTube and the stress of her family. And so it combined all together. And so then she can tell you the rest if she's
The
comfortable
environment
doing it.
takes too much away from your family.
It
It
does.
does. And
Oh,
I don't care who you are and what you say, but this kind of environment, and I'm not judging because it don't for some people, but for
Mm-hmm.
me, I guess I shouldn't speak for everybody. It consumes you. That's what I'm talking about. That force. It just eats you up, and it affects every facet of your
aspect
life.
of your life.
And
Yeah.
you get too wrapped up, you get too involved with the back and forth, and then trying to help and trying to do the right thing and trying to, I mean, all of it. And so eventually, after I spoke out on Marine's and channel, that's when you came up and supported me and Robin Bam. You
Oh,
immediately
okay.
came up that night
That.
and
Oh,
you
yes.
supported us. I mean, and
Got
was
you.
like, look, you're not stupid. You didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
You were fooled. Um,
And
and
you're
then
not.
after that, after I spoke my piece, I think I spoke out a couple of times. I was done. I left YouTube completely. I didn't listen to anybody. I didn't know what was going on. I didn't even get on YouTube anymore.
But you got the
But I started to
idiot.
spiral from there.
There we go.
I started spiraling. I think
Because
it
the
was like
evil
it
follows
was the
you.
aftermath. That's why I say aftermath. It was the shockwave of it,
Mm-hmm.
and just started spiraling from there. And then almost lost my family because of the spiral, just my mental health. And I don't know what the scientific definition for a nervous breakdown is, but I'm pretty sure
We
if I
have
Nervous
it.
breakdown.
Yeah, we
I
It's
have
did,
it.
nervous
I shook
breakdown.
all the time. And like my hands don't shake anymore. They are just a little bit now because
We're
I think where
talking
I'm
about it.
having to think about, I think back on that time. Um, I'm shaking a little bit right now, but and that is what this can do to you. Being in that type of environment,
Yeah,
it just,
it's a toxic
it
environment,
takes
isn't
you down. It just
it? Yeah.
takes you down. It takes a hold of your life.
And it takes
And
your
it just
family
does
down
not have to
along
be
with
that
it.
way. When you log off YouTube, you are literally logged off. It doesn't matter if 500 people are saying something about you. You're logged off. You're not hearing it, and you don't want to hear it, and you have to get away. You have to regroup, and so it's been several months, but I feel like I'm back and better, and
Her family's all back together
yeah,
now and doing amazing things.
we're doing great. Yep.
Hold on. Wait,
I'm
wait, wait,
more
wait, wait.
patient with Dad.
What do you mean your family's all back together? Did you guys
Well,
actually have to take some distance from each
yes,
other? Are
yes.
you hold?
I had to get help, mental help, because I had a nervous breakdown.
Listen, will you do me a favor? You see, if you feel like that again, if you start feeling that depression again, seriously, Kris, come to me. I
Well,
spent 7
hopefully that
years.
won't happen, because I would
Yeah.
never get wrapped. And like, as far as Armchair Detective goes, I get the cause. I get what everyone's trying to do, and that's great, but I can't focus on him. I don't want to. I can't stand the man. Don't want to hear him. Don't want to look at him.
And see, Kris, I
But
don't
I
know
want
if
to
it's.
use my experience from that to help other people.
I know that God wants me to forgive him, but I haven't got to the point to forgive. And have you been able to forgive him yet? I can't. So if I was to die tomorrow,
Well,
and
hell
meet
no.
my.
Why would I forgive?
You don't have to.
I don't hold ill will towards anybody, because that's just not my type of
Yeah,
personality.
I don't wish
I
nothing
don't
bad
want.
upon
I
him.
don't want to be wishing poison on somebody else while I'm really the one drinking it. I don't
Right.
hold ill will on people. That is not who I am. That's not what's in my heart. But no, I'm not. You can't forgive somebody that wouldn't want forgiveness. Don't give a shit about you. Don't
Good
give
girl.
a shit about ever giving you forgiveness, or asking for forgiveness, or saying, I'm sorry this affected you this way. I'm sorry that I lied. I'm sorry that I got you wrapped up in this. I'm sorry that,
Yeah,
no,
nothing at
I don't
all.
forgive him, and I'm not going to. But
Could
as
I
far as
butt
writing
in
them off,
here?
yeah.
Can I
And I
butt in?
wish
Was he
most
aware?
people would too.
Robert or
Forget
Kris,
it.
was
Don't
he
even say
aware
anything.
that your family had actually been damaged by this? Was he
To be
aware of
honest,
this?
oh no, mm-mm,
So you got
no.
fuck all backup support. You basically were left there on your
My
own, having a
family was
nervous
here for
breakdown.
me. My parents was here for me. My brother was here for me. My husband still was, but he just did not know what to do. He
Fucking
was a broken
disgrace,
man.
this is.
My
This is an
children were
absolute
broken.
disgrace.
They pretty much lost the mom that they knew. I wasn't the same.
It messes with your head. It does. When you
I
sit in
know
a
it does. And
when you
you're
sit
sitting
in
over
a
there,
corner
Bubbles. You're
and
okay with this, Bubbles. You're okay with this. This is
and you
okay with you. This is fine with you. This is everybody else is a liar. And you're going to keep people coming to that channel where children are sitting there wondering if their mother is going to be able to function on a daily basis, and somebody that's dependent on their daughter to look after them. You're okay with this, Bubbles, are you? Do you want to come in and talk to me, Bubbles? While victims of your Messiah are sitting up here bleeding their hearts out. You think this is funny? Well, why don't you
it's
come and
not
laugh at
funny.
me? Why don't you
Time
come
my
and laugh to me,
time
Bubbles,
my
and
son
tell
got to
everybody
me,
that we're liars? Why
you
don't
know,
you try it? Because
I
I'm
was curled
fucking
up in
here
a
now. We'll see. We'll see. We'll see how much you're going to put them down and say that this is bullshit. You're sitting over there. Not only are you exploiting the dead, you're exploiting living people. You're a fucking disgrace, just
Wait,
the
did
same as
somebody
him.
say that we were lying?
yeah.
Oh
Oh
yeah, this
yeah.
is all
Oh,
liars.
bad. Let's
Do you
pull
not
out the
know?
messages then. No, I don't. Let's pull out the messages then. The proof is in the chat. Messenger chat.
Yeah. No, I know
Period.
you're not lying. I've seen this happen from the start.
So they
But
think that
here's
we're
someone
lying.
else.
They're
This is
No,
a
really.
pattern.
let him be in our shoes. Like time my son got to me, and I talked to him. He says, "Okay, mom," because he's a trucker. I'll get to you. You know, he found me curled up in a corner, and I had wet myself. I hadn't even moved. that's the kind of breakdown I had. I had sat in a corner and literally had just soiled myself, not moving, not doing anything, while my dad isn't getting his medication. My brother isn't getting anything.
Thank you for coming up and telling your story. And anytime that you need to, come up. And if you can't get WhatsApp, I'm there. But you know where I am if you need me. That's what I'm saying. All right, honey.
All
Thank
right.
you
Good
for
night,
being here.
everybody. All right. Good
All right,
night.
I'll see you then. Bye
Or
bye.
good morning. Bye bye.
No problem. So, what do you think of that, guys? Here's another person that has been wrung out and left to dry on their own. This is practically everybody that's come away from his channel, come out and they say about how much damage that it done to them. But what you have got to understand is this is what confidence tricksters do. There are people that are manipulative and they will exploit anything to get money from you.